All right. Checking back, checking in. LinkedIn is online. Somehow I need to wait a couple of seconds for YouTube. Looks good. Streaming to YouTube as well. Welcome back to the White Cabin. And we finally got some real results. It has been some intense hours to make this challenge. I had to really focus on, chipping stuff. But I was really focused on just the food functionality side of things. Let me guide you through. Just need to switch back to the actual app that, looks like this. For comparison, it is actually super cool. This was the Google Stitch mockups, so to say. And we achieved a pretty darn close look. So this is a component that we are currently viewing. It's more or less a dashboard view. But as mentioned, I want this application to be AI agent first, which means the actual homepage will be something like that, which I also have. This was actually more important than all the radial charts, and I spent way too much time for those nice charts because they are also working and they have icons, still not super optimized regarding fonts and stuff, right? But it works, and it's actually this is a really cool component in the end. It mimics definitely the Apple Health activity thing, but it mimics this good. So this is how you can select different days, and just to guide you through, because this is the breakdown of your macros. We have macronutrients, which means we have looking to the carbohydrates, protein, which is the let's say radish thing, and the orange thing is currently fats. I'm not super happy with the coloring. I just used whatever AI offered me. And the outer circle is actually super interesting because it's the calorie budget per day. So I don't know if I'm still super happy that you fill up your calories. I would love that it turns down, like you don't want to fill the circle, right? You want to stay beneath. But you can definitely overshot these as well. So the red area of the energy bar, which is kilocalories, it's actually too much. So that day you would have ate too much calories and too less proteins, actually too less fat. So not sure if this UI at this moment really works, because actually you want to have something that is the opposite. Like you have stuff left, you want to, I guess, downfill it. But if you want to fill it with proteins, you want to fill it. Either way, you get the idea. I still have to figure which makes actually sense. But here, this is the super important main component. And as mentioned, this component is also used inside of the chat. And now, the magical moment why I envisioned this whole app. Each day is its own chat session. So I can navigate to all of my logs and can see the chat that I had with my AI coach. And at this moment, the chat messages are pretty boring because this is what we will fix develop, I guess, the next couple of hours, which is making it food trackable. Essentially doing the snap your meal thing, which I also implemented like pretty rough with AI. And there was also the question, UI looks good. Is UI created by AI? Yes, but I had good context. There was a component that I did back a couple of years actually, which was really close to what I wanted to have. So the thing is, I provided this as base context, literally copied the code, gave it to the model, and told it what I want to achieve, and it did super good. As mentioned, we are still generating the code locally, and the reasoning is done by Gemini Pro, which I don't know, at this point feels a bit of cheating because Gemini is super, super good at figuring stuff. And the actual code then is generated by, I think at this moment, yeah, Nemotron, which was also doing a great job. Really cool stuff. So yeah, generated this, and now the interesting part is we want to connect n8n as our agent. And as you might already have guessed, this is a multi-tenant application. Speaking of which, I also did the whole user thing. So it's really using this user that is connected to Supabase. So we have also the auth provider and session refreshing. I used some code of another project to make this work because it's tough with local models. They are not that fast, and I did definitely some boilerplating for that to achieve this functionality. But yeah, it's boring. So I really focused on the parts that make this app, which is all the data behind our food tracking. So yeah, looks pretty cool. Let's try also the snap meal thing for a moment, but I'm not sure it's on my desktop, so it will try to access the webcam. So let's see what happens. Wow, I did not know that this worked. So yeah, it's using the webcam of my device. On your device later it will be the phone camera, because we're using just WebRTC here, which is a browser native function. Should work good. I have to still test this on a device. I had planned to test this already on the device. I would love to have it here and take my first snap, but we'll do this tomorrow when we finish things off. This is the goal. Have it on a device, snap a meal, have AI reason about that, get the data, show the data. This is a closed loop that I want to achieve. And to achieve that, I need to make this working. Especially the chat. As you can see, I tried some stuff already, and I got only unuseful responses because those are not from n8n yet. So let's send another message and see what it's happening. Yeah, sorry, I counted an error processing your request, which is good because let's have a look at n8n. I prepared this little thing. And this is the request that I just sent. So we will definitely use webhooks, and its post webhook, it will receive the Supabase Beaver token, which will be super interesting. This will be our source of truth of figuring, which users just sent us a message. And of course we have the actual message, and yeah, for reference also the date, because each date is a chat session, which means we need to use the date as chat session as well. So this is where we want to start building this together. So we just made sure the frontend is sending us the Supabase out token, which by the way is WGJWT, JSON Web Token, which contains actually useful information, but we will send this to our Supabase backend and get the current user information from this user. And if the backend, if Supabase tells us this was a valid token, here's the user, we pretty much figured which user sent the request and made sure that only authenticated users can access the agent. So let's do this. I will copy this to the editor. That way I already have my debug message. And yeah, as mentioned, first things first, I think it might be good to just check for the authorization. If it's not there, like if it's empty, we just want to respond with Well, this is interesting. I actually have already set up streaming mode for the web hook. Yeah, let's see what happens. Let's just send a message unauthorized, and also make sure we have a response code that fits this as well, which should be this. And yeah, let's name it also token provided. So first things first, did we get our authorization? Hey, it's, oh, wrong. It's not empty. All right, that looks better. So we check if a token is existing. So now the interesting part, and I already consulted a bit general purpose LLM. What would be a good way to do this with n8n? And yeah, it gave me the idea, which I actually like, to use the out v1 user endpoint of my Supabase, which means I need to get the Supabase URL. Let's make sure I have this. Doing this off screen a moment, because I think I need to go to their dangerous part of things. Yeah, there's the secret key that I don't want to leak because I'm a professional. All right, Supabase URL, we got you. And that means we would do just HTTP request to this endpoint, and I think it was just API v1 user. And yeah, we need to do a scary thing. We need to do byte or also send this authorization token, which means usually you want really to do this the n8n way, send authentication there. But since we have a multi-tenant application now, we cannot have predefined credentials. We just need to send also the authorization header, which is actually just the same authorization header that the user, the front end, gives us. So, and not working. Okay, let's make sure. Okay, it's out v1, which is good. I had for a short moment the fear that it was hallucinated information. Could be happening. I haven't tried this yet that way. All right, no API key found in your request. Maybe it's not authorization. Maybe it's that one. Okay, let's see what is AI telling us. It needs to be this. Oh, we need the anonymous key as well. That's interesting. Okay. That makes stuff more interesting, because I think this can be defined as credential, and we really want to do this because if you're not aware, n8n will encrypt this, which is safe. You don't want to have credentials inside of your workflows readable, because yeah, they high possibility that you will leak them that way. So I guess it's a generic credential type then, and it is it was API key, but we can do a custom out and we add a new credential, which is dangerous stuff. Again, I need to do this off screen. Super important to have a second screen when streaming. Otherwise, it would be super annoying to reset all the credentials later. I don't have Supabase here. Connect app frameworks. There's our little anonymous key. And The custom out looks a bit scary. I guess we go for header out. Add our own header authentication, which should be then API key. This is FoodGPT production Superbase anon key. And now I can show you what I did. All right, so I added proper credential. It is here as well. And we just want to use API key, just checking back with my little AI assistant. Okay, it's, yeah, it's camel case. Good thing we checked that. All right, let's try again. And 4. At least something new, which is interesting. It shouldn't be 4. The rest of your question could not be found. Okay, checking back. Is this correct URL? Is it wrong URL? God, I need to learn to trust AI just once. I did like 3 human errors in 5 minutes. Bam! All right, so as you can see, it's actually quite easy. So the idea is we just channel the JSON Web Token from the front end to n8n, and n8n sends a request with an anonymous key, which means like a Superbase official backend functionality. Send this as a request, get the current user. And now we have our user. We got our user ID, which is great. We have the user role. We have all the metadata that we want. For example, since we are using tokens in the end, I think for the production thing, I would go for email verification must have. If not, the agent will just tell you need to verify emails first, because I think user might violate anything to get free stuff, which means they will for sure try to get free messages. I haven't figured the whole business model of this app yet. Actually wanted to do this once I know how much each request would cost. You know, I aggregate the data, get the mean of that, and then I know how much this will cost me, so I can wrap the costs and make this a proper business model. But I guess if I'm not doing stupid stuff, it should be quite cheap, because it's a lot of basic LLM questions. Open Food Facts is free to access, and we can also use multimodal input. So I think it would be scary if we would generate images. Then doesn't make sense. I had the thought about image annotation, which means you upload your snapped food and it will detect where the ingredients are situated in the image and add the information as well. I would try something like that, but still I want to do this properly, which means we will get JSON response with the areas, polygons where the AI thinks food is situated, which will be super interesting if you want to track your prepared meals. For the stuff that has barcodes, we can just use Open Food Facts. All right. Yeah, but now we have the user. Now we need to make sure that we test it at least once with a not valid token, which means I will just change one information. Now this token is definitely not correct. So this response should fail, which is good. Which means if this fails, we do a separate output, so we can respond to our front and back with corresponding error, which is just unauthorized. I will not give them more information like invalid JSON Web Token. Might be security best practice to, like, don't know. It's security through, what was it called? Obscurity? Like hiding information never gets the job completely done. But it's like, don't tell the potential attacker what did go wrong. Because this might be useful information in the end to check what's happening and how to attack this. So just basic response, it's not happening for this request, and we should be fine. So we also figured that. So now we can do the fun stuff, which means make this token valid again. Get the current user. Okay, now just a small sanity check. Just making double sure that we get an actual user. We are checking for some values, which is definitely we really need the ID. So ID should be viable. Is not empty. We also want, let's add the email verification check as well. It's just a good thing. And is equal to true. So this is a small sanity check, making sure everything works. Actually, since we are not doing anything specific regarding the errors, we can also just feed it back, which just looks cool. Also super handy, because if I really want to change this response in the future, then I can just do it here. And since I don't want to leak whatever is happening here, one message, one failure should be working fine. All right, this block is now done. We now have all the information that we want. Let's do a little n8n best practice, which is just turn this into a block, which is super reusable at this point. Check user, JSON Web Token with Superbase, get current user. All right. That's actually the hard part. No, it's just having fun in n8n. Let's give this a proper color. I think that looks good. We can still have this chat as debug, and now we want to normalize the input, which means I will add no operation, do nothing node, and make sure this is agent input. Later I can reference this node if I really need it. It's usually, my goal is that this agent gets prompt and chat input and also the session ID. This is given with the chat node, which is great for debugging, as mentioned. And this now needs to have the same expected input that this agent input node requires. Because we have multiple ways to chat with this agent, which is super important. I had the plan to turn this also to something that you can access via MCP, which is super fast with n8n at this point, but also maybe, just maybe, I always wanted to play around with the new ChatGPT store, which means make this thing even accessible in ChatGPT, but only if you're a registered user, which means I will most likely add another way where you just use an API token to communicate with the same agent. Yeah, it's super strong use case for n8n, that you can have multiple ways of accessing this agent, and just add this above there, maybe here, and one agent that takes care of everything. Wow, again from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Were you also yesterday part of the stream? If so, thanks for joining again. We are now at n8n building side of things, and if I did everything correctly, then we will have our first true agent message streamed back to the front end, displayed to the front end, closing the loop here, which is super, super cool. But yeah, to achieve this, I need to create the session ID. This session ID is where I do the little trick of making sure that an user can only access their own messages, which means the session ID will contain the user ID, the day the user chatted with this agent, and I guess a random hash. And this, or actually no random hash, because at this moment I keep it simple. One chat session a day, you cannot reset or have multiple chat sessions at this moment. Maybe I will add a general chat as well, but yeah, the food tracking should be happening in one easy accessible session. So let's use the user ID. And yeah, I had the plan to use dash. I guess I will use a plus to add some way of knowing what is user ID and what is in the end the date. The date is something that the webhook will receive. I already prepared this from a front-end perspective. So we have the date. Oh man, I just noticed 2020 thinks we are in a new year. I haven't updated all the footer of my web pages yet. Yeah, Happy New Year. Still some to-dos. All right, so this is the date, which is just the year, the month, and the day. And yeah, no, this is fine actually, because we have a unique ID, which is the user ID, which also makes it possible to get all the messages of a given day. Yeah, that's fine. That's how you trick yourself into multi-tenancy. And I forget, of course, this is also a message, which means we have chat input. All right, so now we will also need the message, which is a webhook response, and we want to get where. Oh, it's not in headers, of course. There's the message. So this is a chat input. Normalize input. Connect to the agent. Run the agent. Users not valid anymore. Did I change the token back? Yeah, token looks good. What's happening here? Why is this request now erroring? Let's have a look. Oh, the token is expired. All right, time to send some real messages from our front end. So as you can see, Supabase comes with solid authentication, which means those tokens are, I did not know that they're that fast expiring. Usually you got quite amount of time, because you just need to make sure that there's no way to brute force the tokens, right? And yeah, but it looks like this is only a couple of minutes, like 10-15 minutes. And now this token is invalid. Great stuff. So let's see if I can actually go ahead, and maybe we have our little magic moment to make sure we're using that we have a good user experience in the end, we need to use respond mode streaming, which we also need to enable for our agent, which is enable streaming. And if you're new to this, streaming is this mode where tokens fly in. So during generation, already tokens will be submitted, which is great. If you do a chat assistant, it's like a must-have. Otherwise, it really feels like your agent takes ages, which it doesn't. Essentially, it just means it's generating the full response and send it then. Back in the days when we don't had this in n8n, people were complaining that n8n agents are slow, and it's more or less just based on this, or those people that are complaining feel like 50 milliseconds initial request delay, which is the overhead of n8n. So yeah, enable this and you have a good experience and your user will have a good experience. So this now should stream tokens, and I hope it will, because I also changed. I have a couple of respond to webhook nodes for the errors, and I have streaming. I haven't tried this yet. Let's see. If everything works fine, we should see our tokens. Let's go back to our actual application. Which, by the way, I just give you a small overview of this as well, because I have the pretty suspicion that a couple of people joined during our n8n part. So yeah, this is a web-coded application, completely web-coded locally, or let's say the code is generated locally. I was using Gemini Pro for the reasoning part of things, because my local reasoning model was not that good, or it had not all the capabilities, which bums me a lot. But yeah, still staying true to my challenge of generating the code locally, which was done with Nemotron from NVIDIA, which is just decent size, worked well on the GJX Spark, which was good. And yeah, this is still not ordered. I really was rushing through the components that were designed in Google Stitch. Google Stitch I really can recommend as middleware between your idea and your white coding application, because it's using Nano for the designs, and it's doing, from my perspective, a way better job than most of the white coding agents would do themselves. It's Nano in the end. It's a really cool image model. So I was essentially screenshotting and gave this to the coding agent, and yeah, as you can see, it's not perfect in the end. There are still some glitches, artifacts that you don't want to have in your application, and also stuff is a bit different in the actual thing. So if you have a look at this, I made some decisions in terms of coloring, which I might change. Not so happy. Maybe coloring like this fits more. If you have any suggestion, what color protein should have, and carbohydrates and fats, then feel free to write. And yeah, let's write a message with our n8n agent. So it is already connected. I just had error responses because I haven't built the thing yet. The next message should be a valid response. So yeah, let's ask it, who are you? Favorite question. It would be too good if something works first try, right? So yeah, let's see what happened. We can do this in the front end, which is interesting. We got the response. I guess we got a response at least. Let's see the n8n side of things. This was the request. And yes, indeed, it's streamed through. I'm a large model trained by Google. Essentially, I'm a computer diagram. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I wanted to try Gemini for the food side of things. I've heard that it's doing great at estimating food values. I still want to ground this data with actual APIs, but yeah, this is first try. So apparently n8n does its thing, and it streams. I hope it streams. It's outputting data, and front end receive data that it hasn't expected to receive. And those are the streaming responses, which is actually good. Not sure. Okay. Let's see. Something that I don't need to figure, right? Because we really want to white code this thing. So let's feed it back. And as mentioned, I really need to be specific about services. Send message. What it's doing at this moment? It just expects a full response. So if I would disable streaming, it would work. But yeah, okay. Let's add the information for the chat page and our little chat servers. Change the receiving part to use streaming. The backend will stream tokens that there's. Yeah, okay, it will be fun. Because, yeah, we will figure Markdown later. Okay, the backend will stream tokens. That needs to be displayed once. Let's try this first. With streaming, there's also, you need to do this usually with asynchronous approach, which is subscription. And let's see if he will figure. But I guess he will figure that there needs to be also do the unsubscription once the full response is there. So yeah, this is white coding. For fats, orange, carbohydrates, yellow. Okay, interesting. I think might look cool. Carbohydrates, yellow. Fats, orange. Okay, fats are orange at this moment. Protein are kind of reddish. And this would be yellow. I think yellow would fit great because then it's warm colors. We can adjust this, actually. Should be super doable to adjust. Because AI should do this on the DJX. So if there's Olama gets a waybill, then it would take care of the other request, which is interesting. So the colors for carbohydrates to be a yellow color. Decide which yellow fits best in relation to the other colors. Have fun! So this is still doing its job. Waiting for response. Looks good.